Call the meeting to order, the Clewiston City Commission. Today's Monday, January 23rd, 2023 at 5 p.m. If you would stand, Pastor Carlos from New Harvest Church, you would do our invocation today.
Yes, sir. Let's bow our heads. Heavenly Father, we come to you this Monday evening for guidance and direction for the city of Clewiston. We ask that you would be ever so present as the affairs of the city are discussed. We ask that the wisdom of Christ would rest upon every city commissioner here, that wisdom would rest upon Barbara Edmonds, Hillary Heislope, Molly Gardner, Greg Thompson, and Mayor Jimmy Pittman. We ask that your will and purpose be established through the decisions made by the elected vessels that you have put as the gatekeepers of this city. And we ask this in Jesus' name. Amen.
Amen.
Amen. Thank you. If you would join me in the pledge. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
I just want to check. Hillary, are you there? Or Barbara?
I'm here.
Okay. Yes, we can hear you.
I'm here.
All right. City Manager, any additions, deletions to the agenda?
Just one amendment to modify item E under consent agenda. You have before you an email update from a representative of the hospital for this health fair event. They had oversight, did not request it early enough for the tent to be set up on the 10th prior to the event on the 11th. So they've modified their request as stipulated in the letter. So I would recommend we include that in your approval unless there's objections.
Okay, so noted. At this time, if there's anyone that would like to speak on any matter on the agenda, you're more than welcome to. Any comments from the public? I don't think I see anyone. Jerry, you got anything? All right. Consent agenda.
Move that we approve.
Second.
Motion and a second. Any discussion?
Aye.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay. Well, we have a proclamation, and Sergeant Wanda Hanley is here from the Henry County Sheriff's Department, and I asked her to come up and give us a little, I don't think she's ready to do a full presentation, but a snippet of the human trafficking proclamation that we're going to be giving the Sheriff's Department tonight. So welcome. Yes, ma'am.
Good evening. Thank you for having me tonight. I just want to speak to you for just a short moment on human trafficking. This is something that's affecting, of course, the entire world, but it's quickly closing in. It is happening in Florida. Florida is the third in the nation in the amount of calls to the National Human Trafficking Hotline. If you see a map of our state where the hot spots are, you can't even see the outline of our state anymore because that's how much human trafficking is happening here. The reason we're not recognizing it is because we don't know what to watch for. So I provide education in the community, at churches, civic organizations, anywhere that there's an open door that I can provide training. I provide a 2-hour of PowerPoint with videos and lots of good information and how parents can protect their children online from being coerced and tricked into a sextortion situation, which often leads to a trafficking situation. So I'm here to help in any way I can. If you'd like to speak with me, I'd be more than happy to talk at your organization, your business, anywhere, and provide that education. We also provide it to all our schools in the area. So our middle schools and high schools have had the training, and we continue to do that annually now. So we thank you for recognizing the necessity for education and for supporting us in our efforts to get the words out there, let people know what's going on.
You guys for what you do. We have a proclamation I'm going to read. It says, whereas the United States was founded upon principle that all people are created equal with the unalienable right of freedom and added the 13th Amendment to the Constitution, making slavery illegal. And whereas during the month of January, the efforts of the foreign governments, international organizations, anti-trafficking entities, law enforcement officers, and officials, survivor advocates, communities of faith, businesses, and private citizens around the world to raise awareness about human trafficking and are celebrated. And whereas increased community education on how to identify victims of human trafficking, along with the increased knowledge of the local resources and services, those affected by these criminal actions can help restore freedom and dignity to identified survivors, as well as help diminish the number of future victims. Now therefore be it resolved by the City Commission of the City of Clewiston, Florida, do hereby proclaim the month of January 2023 as Slavery and Human Trafficking Prevention Awareness Month.
I'll leave that
So
with
we
you.
would like to present this to you guys. Do I have a motion to adopt?
So moved.
All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? And thank you very much. I can get Lynn here.
Thank you for the packet of information as
Thank
well.
you. Please.
Thank you, Sergeant. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
Thank you for your time. We appreciate it. Appreciate your support.
Mayor and Commission, I did want to update you. I shared it with you that we were planning to do it. Public Works has been able to establish some signage that's very subtle, that has I guess it's an app sign on all of our park entrances around the city. They provided the signs, so we've now established those. So anyone who's concerned can click on that, and it'll give them guidance on what they need to do to combat this this dilemma.
That's a great idea. All right, next item on the agenda is ordinance number 2023-01. We talked about this at the last meeting, but City Manager, if you'll fill us in, and then
Okay. As you indicated, the commission had discussed this first reading tonight of an ordinance that would modify certain requirements related to the concerns about storm shutters in residential as well as commercial areas. In preparing this, a draft is prepared with an alternative offered, and we would like your feedback for the final public hearing that would be at the next meeting on this item. And essentially, I'll let the attorney comment on that alternative, but it's one change that would address comments made at the public meeting and the workshop where you had regarding part-time residents who aren't here year-round, when residences are vacant for long periods of time, how to address those with regard to the storm shutter. And I'll defer to the city attorney for his comments on the option he presented.
okay, I'll go ahead and open up the public hearing. This is an ordinance of the City Commission of the City of Clewiston amending the Code of Ordinance 110-530 Residential Development and Improvement and 110-531 Commercial Development and Improvement, providing for codification, providing for severability, and providing for a repeal of laws in conflict, and providing for an effective date. If anyone from the public would like to make any comments for or against, opinions on the ordinance to amend the storm shutters. These ordinances, of course, cover other areas, but the storm shutters is what we're focusing in on. All right, seeing no comments from the public, the commission wants to comment? Or you, Dylan, you want to go first?
Oh, well, it's not particularly complicated. We've been looking at doing something with the storm shutter ordinance for some time. We had a workshop on this. What this change to the ordinance does, it provides a specific definition for what a storm shutter is. And the point of that is to assist code enforcement in the event that someone is putting something up that really is not a storm shutter. It provides a timeline for removal after use in the event of a storm event. There's a alternate option here based on discussion at the workshop, which has a provision in it for seasonal shutters in case that a resident will be leaving town for a long period of time and wish to have those remain up. They'd have to file for a permit to the Community Development Office. That's all this is.
And that's the difference between the first one and this and the alternate one.
Correct.
Okay. Thank you. I know that we discussed it quite a bit at the workshop and over the years, and I know that we had we had put it on hold for a while because it is not an easy topic to decide upon as far as what would be in the best interest of our residents and commercial businesses, but also to maintain, a standard in the city. I personally like alternative one because it addresses the seasonal shutters, which we don't have a way to address those now. And I like the difference, of course, that these are storm shutters and not permanent plywood up on the wall, on the windows or doors.
Yeah, and I agree with the part about seasonal visitors. 'Cause, I mean, that's everywhere, especially in Florida, when they leave, as long as they have the permanent installed ones. And also, just to note that a city manager can extend, it says 30 days after it was 72 hours, but the city manager can extend that based on if there's another storm coming or things like that. So people that are older that may have trouble putting them up and taking them down, they won't have to hire people multiple times to do that during the hurricane season. Any further discussion?
Randy, those extensions, would that be case by case or across the board?
Yes.
Individual homes or just?
Well, I think as long as they could prove they aren't a full-time resident would be the main criteria that.
No, what Jimmy was talking about, if there's another hurricane.
Yeah, oh, yes, that'd be on a case-by-case basis coming in, but obviously that would be a key consideration is timing and how close another storm, and also the devastation caused by a storm. Heaven forbid that, but that would have a hand in it too. If we had extensive damages, that may be the least of our concerns.
Yeah,
How
then it
quickly?
would turn into a security issue. It would be
Exactly.
years out and stuff.
When power hasn't been restored, that would be a main consideration, having been through that. Because you might have other states of emergency declared, like curfews, things like that, and that may be another item that we would extend for that reason.
For everybody.
And would this give you what you need to enforce? That's all I have.
Okay. Again, this would be the first reading if you approve it tonight, and it would come back at your next meeting for final action.
Any further discussion? Okay, I'll declare the public hearing closed and entertain a motion.
Motion.
Second.
Motion by Barbara, Commissioner Edmonds, a second by Commissioner Thompson.
And is that for alternative one? Just want to clarify. Is her motion for adopting alternative one?
Yes, for alternative one.
Okay.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed?
Aye.
Motion carries.
And that'll be, we will put alternative one, it won't be alternative one, that'll be the ordinance on the next agenda for consideration. Okay, thank you.
All right, we'll move on to item 3, resolutions. Resolution number 2023-007. Resolution that approves administration's recommendation to reduce the lien to $9,690, consistent with the special magistrate's recommendation in order granting a fine reduction request. And I don't know who's going to fill us in on this house. I know we all know where it is because it had a lot of work done to it recently. I believe it's 705 South W.C. Owen. Any discussion, any thoughts?
The original was 63,600.
And I think the mitigating circumstances on this case, if I could share, and then of course Debbie is here to give you additional details or answer any questions. She's provided you substantial information and documentation. But the current owner was not the owner when the fines accrued. They acquired it on a foreclosure type arrangement after most of the fines were accrued, and they addressed the code issues relatively quickly after their acquisition, and that stopped the bleeding, if you will. But as pointed out, substantial fines had accrued during that process, and this is consistent with what we've done on some of the other code cases when they were brought into compliance. We collect all hard costs that the city incurred, and that's the case here. But most of this is just the fines that accrued during the period, and I'll defer to Debbie if she wants to clarify or add anything.
I'd like to say too, this individual took this piece of property, this blighted piece of property. It was horrible, and he's turned it around relatively quick. And it's just another project going on up and down WCO, and just really making a change that on that road. And I think they did a pretty good job, and I support it.
Yeah, I did have a question. I don't know if it's for the lawyer maybe, but when this house sold, why wasn't the lien addressed at that point? Because if there's when you buy a house and there's liens, it's usually they're addressed at closing with the bank or.
It happened through a tax deed sale. This was purchased through a tax deed sale, which, as you know, or might know, is a buyer's beware market. This was new local individuals who were trying to improve their community and was not aware. But as soon as they bought the property through the tax deed, they did make contact with my office just to see what they had to do for the property, for the city, to improve it. And when they found out about they first found out from me on that day about the accrued fines, and they were devastated by the news, and they immediately just worked with me, and you see the results of their efforts to improve it.
I believe this was their first.
My understanding is, but I'm not sure.
Is there a mechanism that would catch that on a tax deed sale? Or
This happens a lot with these. Oftentimes when it's a private transaction, you'll have things like title insurance, which takes care of these issues. But when it's just a tax deed, it's kind of take it as is. And a lot of times these things don't show up unless you go the extra mile as the private purchaser and conduct the searches yourself. So a lot of times when people do these flips, it's an unhappy situation when they find out that there's a local government on it.
Oh, no, I'm not advocating that
Yeah.
they pay the 63. I'm just trying to maybe in the future, the previous owner should have had to pay something because the new owner brought it up to compliance, and it is beautiful, although I didn't see house numbers on there when I rode by today, but you can double check that.
The most important part is that covering the cost. I mean, I know that $150 administrative fee does not cover the cost of the work that you had to do with the previous property owner and the time involved in all this. So I'm not sure exactly how the how the magistrate came up with that amount. But I think it's a fair enough amount to cover at least, I would think, the costs that we had with time and with effort.
Just to give you a little insight on that comment regarding the calculation method, it's not a really scientific method, but most communities, according to the magistrate, and this was consistent with our previous magistrate, fall somewhere in the 80 to 90% forgiveness. Maybe some do more, maybe some do less, but that's pretty common from what we gather. And we looked at it, we asked for 80, they wanted 100%, and we ended up compromising at 85. So that's how the math was calculated. There really wasn't any magic to it.
And I don't know if I can just say that from my knowledge as a code enforcement officer, hard costs to the city are those actual taxpayer dollars and not costs of doing business. So regular business costs cannot be included in that.
It can in the hard cost, but you can certainly take that in consideration. The other part of it is the aggravation and annoyance to that neighborhood and the community at large. We feel like something is necessary to be a deterrent, even though in this particular case, this owner was responsible and jumped on it. The other owner abandoned the property essentially and left it and let it go.
Okay, any further discussion?
No, I'll make a motion to approve resolution number 2023-007 to reduce the lien to $9,690, consistent with the special magistrate's recommendation.
Second.
And just for the public record, so the public's aware, this is contingent on them making that payment prior to the established date in April. And if they fail to, it will stay in place.
Okay.
But I don't think that's going to be the case.
All right, a motion by Commissioner Gardner, second by Thompson. Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
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 Any opposed? Motion carries. Okay, resolution 2023-008, a resolution that authorizes the execution and delivery of a master equipment lease purchase agreement with Trust Bank, sponsored by the Florida League of Cities. It authorizes the lease purchase financing of the acquisition and installation of certain equipment, which we believe is 2 garbage trucks, Danny, and a roll-off. Is that grapple loader? So,
What's a lease purchase?
I'll let the attorney comment, but my experience with it, you have the option of letting it go back or keeping it once you've made all the payments. But there's more to it, obviously. But consistent with Florida's law,
Lease, but like every lease, you have an option at the end of buy it back.
except in this case, we actually get title up front. I'm not sure that happens with traditional vehicle leases. That is the distinction that I would make. So, but the title reverts if we do not pay all the payments. Of course, it's our intention to buy it outright.
And
unless-
we don't know the value or what the value would be at the back end if we chose, right? There's no.
It's $1.
Right.
It's $1. In essence, if we make all the payments, it's no more. We don't pay anything extra. Basically it's a way to loan, and I guess I shouldn't say this, but I will. It's a way to loan without violating the constitutional prohibition against debt, without a vote of the people.
Thanks.
And that's pretty straightforward with what most states do for small items such as this, short-term
It's
notes.
going to make a huge impact on the city for sure. I don't know if this is a first, but I know it's been a long time since we've been able to purchase a new one.
That's obvious, and
You always bought or had to buy other people's problems.
and we did that. We bought one used piece since I've been here, and we've had, Danny told me today, 3 instances of that having to repairs this year. So not being a frontline vehicle, that's not appropriate, but being a secondary backup is what it needs to be. And Danny did share something today with me I'd like him to comment on about the advantage of this equipment over our current equipment in terms of capacity and what that will allow our field folks to do.
For the public benefit, can you explain exactly what we're buying down?
The one we got today is a side loader. It's for the residents, and what's good about this, it's a 31 yard, and that truck, instead of making 2 or 3 trips to the transfer station, it'll load the north side by 1 load.
Will it
And then do
compact
the
that
south
31
side.
yards?
Say again?
Does it compact it on the truck?
Yes. So he can stay there without making trips back and forth. So that's a benefit to this truck. The other truck is a front loader. It'll be replacing a 1991 commercial. It goes around and does all our commercial routes. And then we have the third truck will be a grapple loader, which will be picking up debris. And that's all it will be, is a grapple loader. It's not a roll-off or.
Didn't we have a loader you could put on the front of the front loader?
Yes,
And load
yes,
cans?
yes, we can do that.
And the staff will receive training on how to run the equipment or the trucks. Is there any specific
Oh,
training?
yes, yes. These trucks are similar to what we have, but yes, they're definitely going to train the guys. We'll be getting the front loader at the end of the month. So
Is it a combination or just a front loader?
just a front loader.
Will we be doing our own maintenance?
I'm working on that. Yes,
Certainly going to do more than we have in the past.
yes.
Whatever our
That is the
capabilities.
problem. So we're definitely looking into that. Yes.
The only thing that gives me a little heartburn here is, this is a 10-year payout. Typically, those trucks are gonna last how long, do you think? I mean, obviously,
guy
we have a
recommends-
1991.
Yeah,
The ones we've had have lasted 20 to 30 years.
we're looking 5 to 7.
But
I think we should put, is that package there that, the sale package?
yeah, well, had received it before.
Yeah.
But we certainly will review it, and the key to it is maintenance cost as to when you would sell it for the secondary market and buy a new one. That's the other advantage of the lease, is you can do that and replace it with another one anytime. There's no penalty to prepay, so we don't have to wait out the full period. That's the other thing, and very likely we would try to accelerate if we thought we were going to be in a market for another one. I honestly believe with proper maintenance, we will hit close to 10 years with these. Based on my experiences, nowhere I've been, we traded out
4
much
square
more.
miles, we should be able to.
I see it. If we had long trips, it would be different, like a county operation, but we should be able to, if we properly maintain it, last at least 10 years or longer. And then we've got in our capital improvement plan schedule out, we will have timing for, unfortunately, we're buying them all at the same time, so they're all going to reach that level at similar times. So we'll want to make some judgments as to whether one particular piece is less sufficient than others.
Well, the commercial truck will probably have less hours because you'll use it less than the residential.
Actually, it does more pickups
It runs
weekly. Yeah.
Yeah, 6 days a week.
Yeah, it's on the road because we are on demand on that service for restaurants and other businesses that fill them up fairly quickly. And there are reasons you don't want them to stay there, obviously, for odors and other things. But the residential, with Danny's, with this new efficiency, we're hoping that that'll be more or less 2 to 3 days a week. So that should help with extending the life if we can keep the backup in good shape, where if it needs maintenance, we can do it promptly and avoid leasing or renting any additional trucks in the future.
I'll set it at the budget, I'll say it now, and I'll probably say it next month. And I know this is budgeted, and I know that we put the money in the fees to cover the payment. But obviously, when you look down there, the interest we're paying, I'd like us to get to the point in all our enterprise funds that we can, build them up, to be charging to make enough money to pay for these things when they come due. And I know we got behind the 8 ball, and I'm not saying this is anyone's fault by any means, but I think that should be one of our goals. And you guys already know it because you've heard me say it before, but because as costs continue to go up, every year our costs are going to go up. So sorry, citizens, so will the fees, but we have to do it. As you can see, the $1 million worth of equipment, not counting the interest. So anyway,
That's well said, and the other good news is we do have the budget, as you were briefed, the finance director has a capital contribution budgeted now, and over time that will accumulate to where maybe you buy one outright, buy it for cash, and then you cycle through, maybe you can save enough to buy a half of a second one or something of that order.
And with our rate increases, like Mr. Martin says, we able to put some away each year. So now we probably will be able to buy outright. But again, like I said, appreciate what you did during budget time. I know that was hard, but it was needed. Trucks, like I say, they're breaking down constantly, and we're sending most of this stuff off. So like I say, we're getting there.
I completely agree with Commissioner Pittman, and get those reserves going. But the problem with getting those reserves to buy stuff, a lot of people like to put their hands in a cookie jar. Transfers, budgetary transfers and stuff, that cannot happen. If we have it in there, that's what it's for.
Yeah, the bigger threat, in my opinion, for us, because we've been fairly diligent, very diligent during recent years of not transferring between the funds. But the challenge will be, something the mayor referenced, is we've got to keep our rates sufficient to put that contribution aside, because obviously inflation impacts on the landfill costs and things like that. And if we don't absorb those into the rates, then you're right back to you're not saving anything. So that's the bigger challenge, is we've got to stay ahead of the curve and make sure our formulas recognize COLAs when they're necessary for other reasons like fuel, all of those things that impact adversely on the budget and personnel and so forth.
All right, any further questions, discussion?
Move that we approve resolution number 2023-008.
Second.
Motion and a second to approve resolution 2023-008. All in favor?
Aye.
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 Any opposed? Motion carries. All right, let's move on to old business. Thing on the list.
I just wanted to ask, our next workshop, is it the 30th that we
Yes,
decided?
ma'am. Still on 5 o'clock on the 30th. We'll be getting that information out to you later this week for next Monday at 5 o'clock here, workshop. And some of these items that we've talked about will continue to chip away at them.
All right, monthly activity reports. Any comments, questions?
I had a question. Debbie. Yes, sir. I know you're working on it. Yes, what in the world's going on with the Dollar Tree?
Yes.
It has more garbage than grass, and it's got a lot of grass.
Well, thank you so much for bringing up that favorite place of mine. No, I do have an open case. It's been ongoing since December 8th was the first time I contacted store managers on site about their unsightly conditions, not only the grass, the trash debris, and the building itself. The windows, the storefront windows were fingerprinted. They were not being maintained. I've also had citizens complain to me about the inside of the store, which I really don't code enforce the inside of the store, but when I was on the phone, I made contact first on site to the managers present. I received no positive feedback or compliance right away, which we allow 14 days for a turnaround with your grass and landscaping, and there just was no turnaround there. So then I reached out to the area manager, Miss Betty. I again did not get very good compliance from her. We were going through the holiday season, but I don't want to give them that as a excuse. They're still responsible to their property. So then I reached out to their corporate office by phone, sent some pictures of what their property was looking like. And I've gotten emails back saying, hey, we've been hired to take care of this, and still yet the grass is still undone. So I made another call to Betty with email of pictures, and she called me right away when she received my email and said, well, send me pictures. I said, send you pictures of your own property and how it looks. I said, I'll be glad to send you those pictures, but this is unacceptable. So please know that I've been working on it. I've been going my chains. I'm diligently there, and they will be on my magistrate hearing next agenda if they do not comply, and we will seek some fines to be placed on a commercial establishment.
It's so bad if they go mow it now without picking the garbage up, there'll be garbage a half mile around there.
Yes, it's for their windows, their cleanings of their front glass windows, their trash management is horrible, their dumpster enclosures, and their landscaping trimming along with their grass and weed lines. So all of those are cited and actively on the case that's going forward.
I know the city at one point in time got rid of the ordinance for grocery buggies, but our government housing we have, I call it, Green Tree and Goodwill next door, up until today, I think there was 6 or 8 buggies, and they stay there nonstop. Somebody picks them up, they show up again. And then Green Tree has garbage, furniture, mattresses. Are we charging them the bulk rate like a resident? I mean, nonstop. It looks horrible going down through there. It's not every once in a while, it's every day. The city just picked up the mattresses and whatnot. There's stuff out there again today, this afternoon when I came to the meeting. So,
Ongoing, and I do call their property managers who respond when I call, but no changes in a long acting plan to stop it.
So do we hold the people that's taking them accountable or the store accountable? Because it definitely needs to be addressed because it's not stopping.
With the shopping carts,
It's from one store too. They're all
And because it's
We're
not the
returning them.
store, yeah, because it's not the store owner who's placing it there, it is, we can't hold them accountable. We do call Jay. Jay goes, picks them up, takes them back, but then he has to call the store to come get them. There's no like impound fee that we can provide for these carts that we pick up because the store owner is not responsible per state for that loss. Again, if citizens are seen removing those carts from that store, that is a crime.
But it has to be a complaint from the store owner.
Not sure where the complaint has to come from my perspective.
Well, I know that isn't there ordinance about city right of way? I mean, if it's on city right of way.
On city right of way, we will go pick it up. I call Jay. Jay sends guys out there to go
But
pick
on
it up.
private property, there's not any type of,
Well, we pick them up wherever we see them.
but I'm saying we don't have
wouldn't take
we
'em
did
back.
have ordinance about the requirements of them.
Well, if they're on
Property
a
owners
private
responsible?
property, then, and they're not supposed to be there, I guess you could consider them junk or whatever.
Yeah, I
But,
thought that there was a
Open
trash,
storage.
Yeah,
but,
debris, yeah.
but that's typically not the problem. They usually leave them near the right of way.
Yeah, I know that.
If you didn't take them back in about 2 months, they wouldn't have
But
any
I think
carts
it brings up a very good point. I mean, that there should be, if we have to go pick them up and put them in the yard, there should be some kind of impound fee. I mean, there
We
has
want
to
them
be.
to come get them though, because
Yeah, well, that's true.
we went through that when I got here. There was a whole yard, a fenced in area full of them, and they'd all rusted. And we finally got rid of all of those.
I have seen in other cities and where they have the carts can't leave the property because there's some kind of a security system, and all new businesses come in town are required by ordinance to provide those. Don't know how you do a suntown to bring everybody else into compliance with that because it's costly, but I do know that new businesses like the one we just had come in would have been required to have the locking system if you tried to go off their property with their cart.
Cape Coral's got a pretty good ordinance on it.
And since we were talking about trash debris, I mean, I know we've noticed one business that I know that it's an ongoing issue because I know you're constantly out there talking to other property, shopping center owners. I really think we need to look at this again, and come up with it, just like we did with the storm shutters. It took us a while, but we need to come up with some kind of way to just hold the property owners accountable. I mean, and most of them are absentee landlords. They're not here. Corporations, national or out of town. Randy, I mean, it's just too much. I mean, it's not like, I know that other communities are also experiencing this, but it's just, I think it's gotten to the highest point that I've seen I've never seen it this much. Whether it's apartment buildings, or commercial businesses along Highway 27. Shopping centers, especially on the weekends, there's just so much debris everywhere. Trash. Food places, I mean, they're garbage cans. They have garbage cans, but they're overflowing. And then the birds pick up the stuff and it goes everywhere.
The plaza where Harbor Freight is, they have a guy comes every night.
Well,
And cleans up. So
I don't know if that's still the case because that area between Wendy's and there was full this weekend.
Yeah, Wendy's is separate ownership than
Okay,
the plaza
all right.
he's speaking.
Well, and then
I'm
across
saying
the
if
street.
they can do it.
And
other
across the
businesses
street, I mean, I agree. I mean, I know other businesses in town, they have somebody come in.
I was just on site with the across the street one with their new construction manager, who spoke of new business coming in there and promised me he was going to do all kinds of golden things for us in picking up the trash, and just had to call him back this month.
I'd just like us to look at our ordinance and see if there's anything better that we can do
Yes, ma'am.
to ward off some of this, one property owner maintaining and another one not maintaining. Especially along the Highway 27 corridor. That seems to be where the biggest issue is. Thank you.
I'd add to your list behind Goodwill. That place is a disaster. If an emergency vehicle needed to get in there, when I dropped off stuff the other day, I couldn't get through it.
I know, trust me.
Actually,
we
Debbie
pick
had-
it up every Sunday.
Debbie
and
had
Wednesday.
worked with them, and they've done some improvements, but
Didn't look like it this weekend.
it's back. It sounds like.
So
Yeah, there's-
hopefully it'll get better.
Yeah, they're storing a lot of pallets,
Trailers.
pods,
storage.
and everything.
Yeah.
The fire department probably should.
All right, comments from the city manager?
Have nothing to add tonight. Just to remind the commission of tomorrow, we're welcoming the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers folks, and on Wednesday, you might, Mayor, comment on the activity going on Wednesday. Even though it's not you're supposed to have been invited, it's not our event on Wednesday. The Corps is what they're doing at the dike.
So to your knowledge, it's not open to the public for
I don't
Wednesday?
know.
Okay.
You had to RSVP for the activity, but whether they'll allow the public to come or not, I don't know.
But the ribbon cutting for the Herbert Hoover Dike project, as you guys know, they finished our section. They're going to have a ribbon cutting, and they chose Clewiston. I'm not sure how many miles they did out of Clewiston, but they chose us to do the ribbon cutting. So that'll be Wednesday at 10 a.m.
Right.
And again, I'll invite you, public, but I'm not sure. I'm
gotta
not
get
even
through
sure
their
if it's
gate.
going to be on top of the dike or at their headquarters.
And we
or-
don't know.
I don't know the location yet. I don't know if anyone else does.
We're still on for tomorrow at 10.
10. No, tomorrow is at 5, the reception for those folks.
Wednesday at the.
Wednesday's
their
at 10.
office.
Yeah. That's the actual dedication. And
Tomorrow at 5.
tomorrow at 5 is the reception for those that are coming in the night before from the Corps.
And can we find out, about open to the public? Because I know that some residents of Clewiston were there when President Herbert Hoover was there.
Oh, really?
To dedicate it. And, it just seems that it would be fitting if they want to go up there and see it,
We'll ask.
that they could be able to come up there.
They wanted an RSVP from the officials, but I don't know that excludes anyone else. I will ask.
If you could, and let
And
us
we'll
know.
let you
I
know.
would say those people should show up and say, I was here when Herbert was here.
Yeah.
I'm sure they would be
Well, he
welcome.
dedicated the speech. His speech is at the Clewiston Museum, and the president, Herbert Hoover, dedicated it to the students of Clewiston Elementary School.
That's
And
awesome.
so a lot of them were there for that event. So I think that they'd like to, some of them that would like to come back. And
It's an outdoor event, so I wouldn't think that would be very many limitations on it.
And talking with them, preparing for this, have you been able to talk to any of them about holding Trevor Coast responsible for the changes on our?
We've had some communications, and that's in process. We've been collecting our data, and
Can we tag team them Wednesday?
no, not Wednesday. I don't think the contractor will be there. They might be, but probably not a good idea at their dedication ceremony. But we have brought it up to their staff.
Once that final payment's done, it's.
Oh, well, I think it's a year away for the closeout of the whole thing because they got a warranty period and so on. Okay.
Okay, city attorney.
I have no comments.
Right, Commissioner Gardner.
I just, maybe not tonight, but maybe, I know that you've been kind of keeping us up to date, and I know I saw Linda here tonight, so I kind of thought I made a meter reading. I know that you guys are working really hard on it, but maybe we could do, give us an update on that, especially for the community and what the changes are going to be coming up and what time frame we're looking at.
Yeah, and I know
'Cause I've
last
talked to Danny about it, and I know that everybody's working really hard on it, and so I just think it'd be good to get that out again in the community.
we'll be glad to do another public update. We just last week they had a meeting here of all the parties, as I made the board aware of. I think Danny told me today they deployed 50 electric meters, so we're seeing how those work, and that'll be our first test. And
Great.
And before we deploy, we hadn't got them all yet. We're still waiting on deliveries.
And also any costs that or maybe some outstanding bills or recovering costs that we have with this, that we're able to maybe find out who hasn't paid, or maybe some things that have fallen through the cracks and it's all of a sudden coming up. It'd be good to know that as well.
On the meters project?
Yeah. I mean, if we're looking at the accounts and
the individual customers.
Right. Yeah.
Well,
if there's any, I'd like
one
to
of the
know.
big improvements with this is our ability. We'll be able to manually cut people off from the office, disconnect.
The accuracy too, right?
Yeah, and we'll also have timing of when leaks and other events occurred. It'll be documented every so many minutes. That data will be available. So there are a number of those, but we'll add that to the briefing, some of the advantages for that. The other thing is we can, Danny can comment on it in that report, but we can, what is the words, Danny, we would use? Any customers who are frequent flyers on the cutoff list on a regular basis, we can put certain parameters on them where they can't build up large bills like they maybe could have under the old system. But we'll be glad to brief you on that at a future meeting.
I'll tell you one thing that happened with the field, we got an alert, a heat. That means a hot lug. So instead of burning the meter, burning the lug, we had two within. Those are the type of things we're gonna pick up on. It's
Right.
gonna say, hey, you got it. So.
Pretty neat.
Yeah. And I know I just mentioned it with the trash debris. I really wish we can come down with some, I guess maybe a process to just, for you not to have to keep going back, that we can just quickly address the trash issue on private property, especially in the commercial district. That's it for me.
Commissioner Thompson?
No comment.
I'd just like to get kind of an update on our special assessment we've been working on for the firefighter pension. Something you could answer, Randy, if
Yes, sir.
got any updates there.
In terms of implementing the special assessment,
Yeah.
We are in the process of trying to negotiate the additional study information from the vendor that the county used. Travis has been in communication with them, and we'll be addressing that very quickly. We're looking now if he can stand it within his current budget, or if he'll need a budget amendment or adjustment or whatever. But we have been in negotiation with them, trying to finalize that so that we could consider it for the next budget cycle.
Yeah, because that has to be in several months ahead.
Yeah,
Right, for the-
Well, and I think Travis already had communications with the tax office, and they're aware of it because of the county study that this is going on. Do you want to comment on that, Travis, that aspect of it, if that's okay?
Great, Mr. Mayor. We're working on it. We're going to finalize the agreement very shortly, as Mr. Martin said, with the contractor that did the study for the county. We wanted to keep that. They already have all that baseline data. They're going to be able to move quickly once we finalize the agreement. I hope to have you an update as soon as the workshop post, hopefully. But we will be moving quickly with them to give you that option that you would be able to put it in next year's budget.
And
So
you're-
they indicated to me that is a possibility. The time frame that's laid out for being the manager seems to be, it's tight, but it's doable. I've reached out to the clerk's office, to the property appraiser. All of them think that they could get it done if we can have it moved along fast enough. So it's possible. No promises, but it would be there and it'd be something you could look at.
No, that's good.
Okay, thank you.
Commissioner Edmonds, almost forgot about you. Any comments, Barbara?
I'm good. I just wish everybody a good night.
All right, thank you. All right, if there's nothing further, motion to adjourn.
So moved.
All right, motion, second by Thompson, and we're adjourned.